Ah, Fable. 3 trailers in, and a release date confirmed. How are we looking right now? So, Fable is still kind of a ways off, but it's really not that far. It's next year. So, I think questions around how are we looking so far when it looks towards the new game is worth asking. So, with the new Fable game, where are we at? Are we looking good? Are we looking bad? Should I be worried? Am I happy? Am I excited? Many questions roaming around, and I want to kind of answer a couple today in this video. So far, I'm actually personally quite happy with how Fable looks. I know right now it's a bit controversial. A lot of people are really happy, a lot of people aren't so happy. I'm a long-term Fable fan. My favorite game is 2. I've been playing since I was a kid. I really love the series, so I'm really rooting for this new game. And so far, I'd say I've seen nothing that dramatically turns me off about the game. There's nothing that when I look at it, I go, oh dear god, are they really doing that? There's a couple things I'm questioning about, but for the most part, everything that worries me is the unknowns, not the things we know, which is a good sign. It's always way better to be worried about what you don't know than what you've seen. When you look at something and you go, oh god, that's scary, that's when you start to have problems. But right now, every question I have that I'm really worried about is just a question. It's something where I'm like, I wonder if they're going to do that. Are we going to get this? Are we going to get this? How are they going to handle this? How are they going to handle that? Stuff like morality, the renting and landlord systems, the family systems, character customization, character choices, etc, etc. So everything I'm worried about personally right now is unknowns, which I think is good. I think for the most part, the fact that I'm more worried about the unknowns is a really good sign. But what we have seen, to me, looks mostly good. I've got no real complaints. A lot of people are kind of iffy about the art direction, yet personally I really like it. I think it reminds me enough of Fable. I know a lot of people are like, oh, but it's not perfectly Fable, it's not quite as saturated as I'd hope, it's not quite the exact same style, and I'm just sitting here thinking like, bro, it's made by completely different teams, and they're doing a decent enough job, at least to me, that, like, I'm not going to sit here and get hung up on slight design changes. At the end of the day, they want to take this IP in their own direction. So, you know, if they want to add a bit more realism to the graphical style, I'm not going to get hurt by that. I've got to be willing to embrace and accept change. Because at the end of the day, this is a new series with a new reboot on the way, made by new people. So, I can't sit here and be like, well, it's not like Fable 2. Because at the end of the day, this isn't even made by the people that made Fable 2. Sure, it's named after the franchise that has Fable 2, so if it's like a massive departure, then we can complain and be fair in it, but if they want to make design choices, to me, I'm accepting of all of them as long as I keep an open mind. I think I'll go into it really hoping to enjoy the game. From the little bit of combat we've seen, I'm a little bit mixed on it. So far we've seen nothing that seems like really loose and free-flowy, which is how Fable's combat used to be. It was kind of hack and slash where you click a couple buttons, chain together some combos, and it's really nice. Everything we've seen so far, which admittedly is very, very little, it seems to be a bit slower paced, and I don't want to say clunky because that's not the word I mean, but it seems a bit more thought out and almost tactical. That's not inherently a bad thing. Again, I'm keeping an open mind. I understand that this game's not going to be perfect, but it doesn't strike me so far, combat-wise, as exactly being like Fable. But on the flip side, there are some things that do strike me very much as Fable, the main one being the current soundtrack we've got. Now again, we haven't heard tons of it, but all the music that's been shown off in these trailers, which I think has been heavily kind of looked over here, it sounds so Fable-y, and I love it. And this is important because Fable's soundtracks were bangers, they were classics. I've got them all on CD, that's how good they are, okay? And I'd be gutted, absolutely devastated even, if they managed to butcher the soundtrack in this new game, and so far, I think they're taking it relatively well. I like that they're doing their classic, bring in some celebrities to have their sort of cameos. They did this a lot with the older games, and I can see some people being like, well, why would you do this? But it was very much a trait Fable had, and I am glad they've brought it back. Just because I'm willing to accept change doesn't mean I'm not, like, excited when they bring back old features and old stylistic choices. Because at the end of the day, I'm a Fable fan at heart, so when I see them start to bring back the decisions that made the old game so special, it gets me really excited. So far, the way the story is looking, again, we've seen such small amounts, is looking pretty interesting. I think so far, the way they're hinting towards the villain being the person we saw in the picture, and the kind of setup they've got for it so far is really interesting, talking about a hero that made all the wrong decisions. I think that that's super interesting, and for us to go against a hero is also really interesting. I think it'd be cool if we, like, perhaps go against a hero that was trained by the Humphrey guy that we saw in game. Again, I just think it's really cool how they're taking it so far, and I'm really enjoying, like, the story elements they're throwing our way. Again, we know so little, it's too early days to say anything really on that behalf, but what I'm saying is so far so good. We saw a city, which I'm going to assume is Bowerstone, and man, it looks beautiful. I've never seen such beauty like it before, and oh my god, it's so Fable. I loved it. Seeing the hero walk around the streets that were actually crowded and just kind of, it retained that like charm I love from Fable, and it reminds me very much of what I would like a modern Fable 2 to look like in Bowerstone. So I can't lie, when I saw that I got super excited, super pumped, and I think they took the right design decisions when it comes to that area of the map so far. I've seen some of the lands outside of the city too, which look fantastic. This is of course made by Playground Games, who are fantastic at making pretty things. You've got to give them credit for it, and so far they've done a fantastic job with the new Fable game. Everything I've seen looks fantastic, including the enemies. I mean, we've seen Hobbs now, which is really interesting. We've seen a bandit, so, you know, they're bringing back some classic. We've seen Balverines, which, by the way, I just want to say honorable mention to the Balverines. That looks so damn good. I'm so excited to play it. They're keeping that creepy nature about them, and I can't wait. I'm preying on Banshees, man. Give me Banshees, please. So, you know, I feel like that's really all the really big goods I have to really say about the Fable game, so I'm going to go to a couple of the unknowns. I've discussed these a lot in my other Fable videos, but I do want to do a quick recap, as this is a so far what do we know type video. We haven't really got much confirmation on the morality system, which is so key to Fable's identity. It's not that I don't think they'll do it, it's just that they haven't shown it us yet, so I don't know whether I should be concerned about that, or just kind of wait and they'll eventually get round to showing us when the game's more prepared to. We've had no, like, even 10-second stretches of just gameplay where the player is actually playing, which, to me, it's not Red Flag City yet. It's just like, man, we're a year off and we've seen no just kind of non-cut gameplay. Again, not red flags, many games do it. I'm just praying to death that soon we kind of get some uncut gameplay where we can really kind of dissect how the game looks, how it feels to play, because that's my biggest fear right now. I want to know how it's going to feel to play, because right now it looks beautiful and it's got all the charm I'm wanting, at least for me personally, yet I can't see how it plays. And trust me, having been a fan of a recent reboot known Saints Row, how it plays is very, very important, because that game, for example, I didn't realize how clunky and disgusting the controls were until I got my hands on it, and that was what ruined the entire game, a game I thought was actually going to be really decent. Perhaps naively so, but still, I'm kind of wondering the same thing about Fable. How's it going to feel to play? Is it going to feel good? So yeah, we don't know a great deal so far, but so far so good is what I'm going to kind of give it. I'm going into it very open-minded, but also with a mild sense of skepticism. New devs on one of my favourite IPs of all time. I'm hoping I love it, but I'm scared I'll hate it, and that's the worst part about it. But so far, so good, really hyped for Fable, and I think it's probably my most hyped release coming up. It's one of those games I've been waiting for so long, so the fact that, like, we've got a release date now, and it's starting to creep around, and before I know it, I'm going to have my hands on the new Fable game. It's super exciting. I'm also going to be covering it a ton, so if you're into Fable and you want someone to be covering Fable as it goes along, every single trailer, every single post, I will be doing that, just like I did with Saints Row. I've got nearly 500 videos on that game, just from covering every single thing that was said about it, talked about it, and everything important worth knowing. So, if you like Fable content, stick around. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, like, comment, all that stuff. I don't know why I say this at the end of the video, because at the end of the video, you've probably clicked off. It's kind of stupid. Anyways, though, thanks for watching. See you soon.